Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma.
Hi, Kimmy. We're on.
Grandma, do you like having me as a roommate in Palm Beach? How do you think it's going?
Well, I think it's going great. I mean, I'm learning all kinds of different things with you.
You are?
Yeah.
Like what?
I'm learning how to keep my mouth shut if I don't like your dates. I'm learning...
Wait, you don't keep your mouth shut. What are you saying?
Oh, I'm trying to keep my mouth shut. It's hard. It's really hard.
But I feel like when I come back from any of the dates that have been going on, you need all the details and give your 2 cents right away.
Well, I need them, but I can't stay up late enough to watch you come in. So that's a problem. I have to wait till the next day.
I know. Well, I don't know. Is it bad that I'm coming home so late? Like, do you want... But you're better than my parents. Like, you don't need a text right away. Like, I mean, updating you throughout the night. Like, okay, I'm coming home at this time.
I think you're old enough to come home whenever you want. I just can't stay up to wait for the door to be closed.
Right. And you were saying the other day if I ever decided to sleep out, like, that would be okay.
It's okay. Just let me know so I can turn the fires off.
I love it. Great roommate goals, I feel like, here.
Okay.
And I feel like it's a win-win for me. Like, you get the groceries.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of driving here.
I know.
I mean, since you don't drive.
Right. Well, growing up in the city, I just never, like...
No, that's not true. You drove, but you damaged every car you drove.
Yeah, and you know what? I was, like, infamous in New York for being a bad driver. Like, once somebody met me and they were like, oh, you're Kim. Like, my driving instructor told me about you. You're the worst driver around.
And
like,
you haven't gotten better.
No.
So we need to keep you off the road.
Right. And I feel like it's good here, too, because, like, anytime I've had a date, like, it's not like... I mean, in New York, you can hop in a cab or an Uber, but here it's like, oh, pick me up at this time. I'm never in the situation, though, where I would have to pick somebody up.
No, don't do it because their life wouldn't be worth 2 cents.
So when it comes to first dates, do you think there's a certain way you should act on a first date, like kind of censoring yourself, or just be yourself and see how it goes? Or like, what I mean is, do you come in with some topics you want to cover?
Well, I don't think and when I was dating a first date, we didn't have any topics. We just were looking to have fun. We'd either go to a movie or we would go to a coffee shop and have hamburger or a grilled cheese sandwich and a milkshake.
But you're saying it's more focused on like the connection or like the compatibility and less on like, do you have where'd you go to school?
Well, my first dates were either in high school where I knew where they went to school. So that we didn't really, we focused in on one community. And when I went to college, basically we were at college. So
right.
We knew where they went to school. I didn't date after I graduated college because I was already getting married.
So maybe this is just very much a thing in like being in the adult world, because you're right. I'm thinking about it too. Like in college when I guess I wouldn't even really call it dating because it would really just be get blackout at a frat party and then go home with somebody. So it's just very different.
See, we didn't do that because we had limited alcohol on our campus where I went to school. So when there was a curfew at 11 o'clock, there were no guys in the dorms. It was a very different world.
Yeah, party scene is just so different. And like also just the way you meet people, like you would literally just hook up with them and then like maybe later get to know them and meet them.
But we didn't do that. Well, there were some probably that did do it, but I didn't do it. And I think it was much more fun dating. I don't think there was the pressure at the end of the evening to make something spectacular out of it. You knew probably he's going to call you up for next week and you'd go out with him again. And then eventually, if things happen, if you had a relationship, that was one thing. But first dates were more simple. They were really simple. I don't think we kissed on the first date. That was not something that we did.
I don't do that either. A lot of my friends think that's crazy. But I feel like, why would you kiss someone on the first date? You don't even know if you like each other yet.
Well, you can kiss them on the cheek.
That's weird.
No, like an Italian kiss.
No
both
way.
cheeks.
Oh my God. If I was like, okay, bye, and kiss someone on the cheek,
I think
they would be like,
fun.
what?
Just pretend you're in Rome.
No. Oh my God. That's bizarre. I'm more thinking though, because if you haven't had your second date yet, there's no confirmation that the other person think that the first date went well. So and if someone goes in to kiss you on a first date, you're not going to be like, oh, no. Unless, I guess in COVID, it's a little different. You could have
COVID, you're not kissing. All you're doing is wearing a mask. So you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, I went on dates during quarantine where people would try to kiss me on the first date.
No, they have to take a test. I need to go for a swab. I wouldn't
Okay,
do
we have
that.
some issues then here because I have not said to one person you need to get tested.
I'm thinking about that. That could be a way that this disease is being spread.
No, that's like mono, the kissing disease.
Exactly, exactly. Only I think this ends up in much worse conditions.
Okay, so what about what to wear? Like, what do you think is a good first date outfit?
Look great. I think you have to
Obviously.
look a little, push the envelope. Look a little sexy.
Push
Uh,
what do you mean? Like a
like a
push-up bra?
little tight sweater, a little pair of skinny jeans, and naturally great shoes.
No one's looking at your shoes.
Well, you're looking at your shoes. Your friends are looking at your shoes. Who cares what they're looking at?
Oh, so you're saying more for to dress for your own confidence, like so you
Correct.
feel good versus like what they think.
Well, and then you'll have confidence that you can do it, that you can be charming and be fun and be light on a first date. I mean, a first dates are really selling yourself. It's like
Right.
it
It
really
does it's
is.
kind of like an interview.
Exactly. Exactly.
But also I feel like I don't know if the confidence is coming from what to wear or like how many drinks you have on the date.
Well,
I
I
kind of
wouldn't
feel
have
like
too
that's
many drinks on the first date, or he'll be picking you up off the floor, and then you won't know what you're doing.
I've definitely been on dates where they comment and they're like, "You haven't finished your drink, like finish it before we get another one." I feel like that's such a frat boy mentality. It really bothers me. And actually, I'm thinking about this now. I had gone on a date recently and I didn't finish my drink and he was like, "Oh, you don't want to finish it?" I was like, "No." And he took it and he finished my drink.
Well, that's definitely a
That's
no
like an
second date.
alcohol problem.
Exactly. That's no second date, as far as I'm concerned. I mean that's ridiculous. If you wanted more to drink, let him order another glass.
I know. And it's also kind of comes off as like a cheap thing. Like, "Oh, you're just trying to."
I think it comes off actually quite weird.
And I guess you really don't have that issue when your date just orders an entire bottle of wine for the both of you. That's what happened on my date this week.
Okay, so what happened on that date? That sounds good.
Yeah, no, I haven't told you about this one yet. Okay, so we went to a restaurant down here that's honestly, it's one of the fanciest restaurants. I don't want to say the name of it, but
Okay,
you
well
know what I'm
that's
talking
a good
about.
first date.
We go, it's gonna be expensive, we know this, and he orders actually the most expensive things on the menu. As I said, a bottle of wine, like a really nice bottle, um, truffle pasta, like things like that. And
I'm in love.
no, right, we think we're like, oh, this is I'm being wooed here, but then there was honestly like nothing to say, and I can really talk to a wall, and this was just like I don't know, no connection, boring, and I was like, okay, I know after this I do not want to give this a second date. This one I was like, okay, I'm almost positive no. But then he ends it, we like get the check and he's like, "Oh, I there's this place like down the street, like that they're having drinks outside, like let's go to a second location and prolong the date." How do
Well,
you
that's
feel?
no good. That's no good because you already don't like him after the first date with the truffles and the
Right.
bottle of
Right,
wine.
right, right.
Where are we going with this?
But even if I did like him, like how do you feel about going to a second location after your dinner, after your drinks? Like if they're like, "Oh, let's hit another spot." Like
Well, I think if you really have a nice connection, it might be fun to go to another spot. If it's sort of just a medium dinner and you've enjoyed it, and you'll give them a second chance. Wait till the next date. It's too much on one night, and you got to leave something for next time.
yeah, I agree with leaving something for next time, but also like even if it's the most amazing date in the world, I kind of feel like it's you have things to do, right? Like you're not like, "Oh, I'm free as a bird." Like, "Sorry, I can't do something after this." Like I have to wake up or like I whatever it is, like the next day. Like I think you should act like you're busy and if they really like you, you'll go out again a few days later, the next week. Like I don't think it all has to happen in that one night.
No, the first night it doesn't, but I don't think we should make a game out of it. If you're enjoying each other's company and you want to continue it, you should do it. I don't think there are any set rules on it. You have to play it by ear according to the person.
Yeah, I guess it's contextual, but I had such a bad experience with it over quarantine like a month or two ago. So I feel like I will never do it again. I had actually kind of made it a rule like don't go to a second location because of what I just said. I just think like it can be postponed, but I was like, "Okay, this is actually we had gone out in the city. We ate outside somewhere. There was actually like a guy who was singing at the restaurant, which was fun, and he like came over to the table, and we were having a really good time, which was like on a first date. Like I don't know, I thought it was going well. So he was like, well, actually, let me go back a little bit. We had decided on this restaurant, even though he knows where my address is, which is not super, super far downtown. It's like, and he is super far downtown, and he was like, oh yeah, let's go to this place. It was in the financial district. I'm like, okay, you're already not making this convenient for me, and I kind of feel like you should ask the girl where they live and try to make it convenient for them,
Well, I think this is all now about him. So this is no longer about a date. He wants to go to this restaurant, and he figured, you know what? You'll get in an Uber and you'll go meet him there.
I
He's
feel
not
like it
being
was kind of
considerate.
rude though. Yeah. Anyway, after the dinner, he's like, do you want to go to this place for drinks? It's like 2 blocks away. I'm like, okay, fine. So we leave and we're walking. Meanwhile, it's like already like 6 or 7 blocks. And I'm like, okay, are we like close yet? And he was like, actually, do you mind if we just stop like at my apartment
Oh
to,
no, that's
yep,
a red flag.
yep. And I'm like, okay. I kind of had a feeling about this one. Like, this happens to be in the direction of your apartment. And I'm thinking, like, okay, should I just say, sure? Like, I'm not going to be like, no, you can't get a coat. Because he was kind of cold. He was like, can I just run up and get a coat?
Let him run up.
Yeah,
but
so I
you're
was like,
not going up.
well, I went up.
Oh, big mistake on your part.
This was just a bad date. Do you remember any terrible dates that you've had?
I had a date with this young man when I guess I was about 20. And we were going out for a long time. And in those days, girls didn't necessarily have their hair done and get all fluffed up. They were very more natural than today, certainly than we didn't have false eyelashes and all this makeup on. So I don't know. I don't know why, but I must have treated myself to go to the hairdresser,
And now that's an everyday occurrence.
well,
for
that's
you.
an everyday occurrence today. But in those days, that was like once every 6 months. So I went and they sprayed my hair with this heavy, heavy spray, and this young man picked me up, who I knew very well at this point, and we had dated for several months, and all of a sudden it started to rain. We went to a movie and we were having a lot of fun, and after the movie he said, let's go. I remember on our first or second date we had the greatest hamburger in Connecticut. I said, oh my gosh, how do you remember that? He said, I remember, I'll never forget, there was a red relish there that was absolutely out of this world. So now here we go, driving around the country in the rain, and we get out in the first little hamburger joint, and we sit down, and there's no red relish. He said, Gail, we can't stay. I said, what do
Was
you
he
mean?
like kidding?
Well, I thought he was kidding.
Yeah.
But he canceled the hamburger once he sat down at the table, and so it was only green relish. So we got up and we go outside. Now it's pouring rain, and the spray net is now going into my eyes.
Wait, what's the spray? Oh, the
spray net
hairspray?
is to keep your hair. It was like stiff as rock anyway, and now all the spray and all the chemicals are now coming down, and I look like I think I must have looked like the cat dragged me in.
Right.
Now we go to the second.
Were you
place.
insecure about it? Like, did he care, or he wasn't even focused on that? He's focused on the
hair.
relish.
He was focused on the red relish.
Right.
We go to the second place and we sit down, and there's still no red relish. So now I'm getting angrier and angrier as the night went on.
Wait, why couldn't you just call on the phone and ask?
Because we didn't.
You didn't have a cell
cell
phone.
phones.
Oh, yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking about the archaic times.
Right.
We had no cell phones. So now I said, I suggest we just leave. You don't need a hamburger. We ate dinner, and we went home. And he kissed me goodnight, and I said, I think this should be our last date. And he said, why? I love you. And I said, I can't love somebody who.
Wait, had you already said I love you?
Well, I think we were going together at the time. Yes.
Right, okay.
I don't know if I said I love you. I think that was a big commitment for me. But he said it. And I said, well, I can't love somebody who is only obsessed with red relish. It just isn't going to work.
So that was
for
a
me.
deal breaker for you.
That was a deal breaker.
But was it more
And my hair was a deal breaker.
Right.
That
Big
was
on
the
the
end
hair.
of my hair for $12.
But I just wonder, like, was it annoying because he was so persistent on that one thing and not on you? Or was it genuinely, like, the relish thing just got you?
It had nothing to do with him caring. He liked me.
So why did that bother you?
It bothered me because I could not say to anybody that had a fetish about red relish. They were just
It's not a fetish.
It was definitely a fetish. It wasn't a sexual fetish, but it was fetish over something that was ridiculous. That how many times do you go in the rain and look for relish? Deal breaker. The relish situation just killed the romance.
Well, first of all, what is romance? Like, is it even a real thing? Or, like, is it something that you imagine of what you see in the movies, something that, doesn't really exist, that we kind of just glorify?
I think it's both. I think it exists if you have a partner that knows how to please you, whether it be emotionally or if he brings flowers and you like that, if he brings you candy and you like that, if you like the way he makes a piece of steak on the grill, or in your case, a grilled piece of fish. I mean, if all those things are romantic. Now, is it what they sell you on Netflix that everything ends up perfect and everybody's kissing underneath the mistletoe? That's ridiculous. I mean,
But there's like a feeling when you're watching something like that, you have like a butterflies, like when you're watching those kind of movies, and like that has been recreated in life, at least in my experiences, but maybe not in the most serious relationships that I've had, maybe in like little flints. Like for instance, recently over quarantine, I was seeing somebody and I had mentioned to him once like, oh, I have never actually slow danced with someone before, which is true. I don't know when I would have. I haven't gone to a wedding. I didn't have we didn't do that kind of thing at prom in New York. Like it wasn't a thing. And then we were in my apartment and he like put on music and we had a little slow dance, which is like so cute.
That's very romantic.
I know, that's romantic.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, that was a romantic moment. Like,
well, it's not sustainable. You can't be dancing every day for 365
exactly.
days. However, you can remember that dance. So in that case, that's very important. Because what you remember, it's like when I married a very long time, I think my partner remembers me the way I was when I was 21 or 22. I don't even know if he sees the way I am now. I think you sometimes just remember the way you were in those romantic times, and that's very important.
No, but then you're living in like a fantasy land.
Well, that's good.
Well,
that's good if you can recreate a beautiful fantasy and you can keep it up for a very long period of time and most of your life. But like
having a romantic moment like that has nothing to do with compatibility. Like I ended up not being compatible with that person at all.
Right.
So like in the end, like is one more important than the other? Like I would not be happy if I was with somebody who there was no romance, and I wouldn't be happy with somebody that I like had a ton of romance, but we weren't compatible, so then we couldn't do anything together.
Well, that's the fine line. That's what everybody's striving for. It's the perfect balance. And when you develop that perfect balance, Kimberly, you should bottle it, and we could make a fortune.
I know.
Because that's very, very difficult. That's why the rate of divorce is 50%.
And also, like, we're so used to this culture of, like, dating apps. Like, I wonder if that kills romance in itself, like, in the act of just, you treat people like commodity and transactional. Like, that definitely kills romance. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, does it set up better success for real love and compatibility, because you're going back to the basics of like putting out your priorities and what you're looking for in another person, like in these filters on these apps. But I also don't think that dating apps have completely eliminated the spark. The spark is just called banter, I feel like. That's what we refer to it now when you're dating digitally, that connection you have with somebody that's not just basic. I feel like we call it banter. I'm going to pull up an old dating conversation, over an app that I've had recently, and I'll show you exactly what I mean, and you tell me if you can tell if, like, there's a spark in this conversation or not. Let me get one up. Okay, why don't you be the guy, and I'll be myself.
All right.
So start here.
All right. Also, our last names together could make a nice law firm.
That's because we're both Jewish last names, so that was the joke. And I said that one got a real laugh out of me, very accurate. Is it pronounced Steen or Stein? Important for our future. Not to jump the gun. Promise it's not a red flag.
Too bad neither of us is in law. I don't get this. I could never date like this. This is impossible. The wedding tagline would be something like, Merstein rebrands, not to jump the gun.
Why are you confused?
I'm confused because I don't even get what he's trying to say. Why is it being funny? Or is he just stupid?
Wait, what are you talking about? It's hilarious.
Then you and I definitely are watching the different comedians. I don't get one thing that's in that text.
I said maybe time for a career change. It really has a ring to it. Plus, my grandma would love if I became a lawyer. Isn't that true?
That's a good thing. That I like. But I don't think this guy is going to change his profession because it sounds good.
Obviously not. It's banter.
Oh,
it's more okay.
Banter. This is not banter.
Okay, so you would rather. Why don't we compare it then to a normal conversation? so you can see the difference of why that's way more exciting than just this. Okay, this is an easy one. You be the guy.
Still living in Florida?
Yes, I am.
When do you come back?
That's the whole fucking conversation.
That's dreadful.
It's dreadful, and they're basically all like that. Oh, where are you? How are you spending your time during quarantine? At least the other one, it's like funny banter.
All right, I get what you're saying. They both sound pretty lame.
Yeah, well,
I don't think I'd give either one of those people a star.
I didn't even end up meeting that guy, actually, funnily enough. But I would like to have thought that it was a better connection than the other boring conversations.
All right, okay.
I think really the trick is to not really give a fuck and just talk like how you would to a friend, make a joke of it. Like, it's an unnatural way of dating anyway. Like, why try to be serious about it?
Okay, sounds good to me.
I feel like you're not into this, but okay.
No.
Also, I matched with somebody on an app today who's a famous person from a reality show. And he said, hey, what do I say?
I don't know what you'd say to a famous person from a reality show unless...
Like, I want to play it cool. I feel like it's never good to just say hey back because that's boring. But it's also like I don't want to try too hard. All he said was hey, so why should I say more than hey?
Maybe he dialed your number by mistake.
What?
And he was trying to get a movie star on that
That's
line.
rude. You don't think I deserve a reality star?
No. Why would he
look
text
at him.
you? Oh, he's cute.
I know.
Oh, I'm in love.
I know.
I'm in love.
I watched him on this show, and then it just so happened that we matched.
Oh,
anyway,
that would be 100%.
He lives in a different
bad.
country, so.
Well, we can't tell you what he looks like over the podcast, but he's very, very
Oh, yeah,
nice.
guys. This is next level. Okay, let's move on to our questions from the week, because after last episode, some people wrote in on Instagram and on email, and
they all seem to be confused with all your different slogans or whatever you call them.
Oh, like the terms I was
using.
Right.
The terms blew everybody who was over 25 away. They didn't understand one term. We had to do a whole explanation, which is too much.
Yeah, so one woman wrote in her 70s. She said, I just loved your podcast. It was brilliantly informative, and I think you have something very special going on in so many ways. The older generation can learn the vocabulary of a younger generation. By the way, it's great for crossword puzzles. Ghosting was an answer to one question this summer. So then they asked, what is another term used so I can stay hip?
All right, give us another
I know,
term.
gotta pull out the Rolodex. Coming to mind, thirst trap. Do you know what a thirst trap is?
No, I have no idea.
It's basically like what people post pictures on Instagram to get...
Well, I'm not on Instagram, so
I know,
definitely.
But, okay, young people are posting them in bikinis or, like, in little shorts, looking hot, like... So they get attention from guys, and it's same way the other way around. Guys can post like a hot picture, and it's really just like so people DM them and to start something up.
Okay, that's good as long as it's not too provocative. And
is this too? This is one I posted this week from the boat. Is it too provocative?
No, you look good in that.
Oh, thanks.
You look good. I would have worn a cover up.
Mom and Dad had a heart attack.
Well, it's a little risque, but you know what? You're not showing
Grandma
anything
approves.
Really.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a bathing suit. Okay, let's go to the next question. I've been living with my boyfriend during quarantine and with his parents as well. They're very over-involved. Can I tell my boyfriend that it's too much? He's super obsessed with his family and a mama's boy.
Well, this is a difficult problem because during this situation of COVID, everybody's sort of on top of each other. I think what you have to say to to this woman and her significant other
it's a girl who wrote in who's living with her boyfriend and her boyfriend's parents.
Right. I think that they have to have a conversation, the two of them, and say, listen, we need some privacy and time to ourselves. You're living in the parents' house, so you can't cut them out of all the conversations and certainly the dinners and whatever because you're all living under one roof.
But if the boyfriend is obsessed with his family, he might be like,
well, maybe he'll get obsessed with you too. That's
right.
An attentive person.
So maybe like he's not obsessed with her is the issue.
Well,
I feel like anyone who's feeling insecure.
I think she's a little overly sensitive.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who's being sensitive that a guy is spending too much time with his family probably means that like they're not giving enough to you.
Well, you know what? Then maybe there's too much conflict here. You have to take a little separation time.
Maybe, and also I feel like sometimes when adults or I'm guessing this person is in their late 20s, if they're dating a guy who is still super obsessed with being home and all of that in itself, I always call that Peter Pan syndrome. I didn't make that up, but I use it all the time. Like a boy who won't grow up, Peter Pan.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
I think she need if that is the case, say goodbye and good luck. She has to move on.
Yeah, I agree here. Okay, next question. I like this because it's from someone a little older too. I'm 68 and newly single. I'm dating a gentleman for 2 months and he wants me to move in with him. Do you think that it's a good idea, and what will my children say?
Well, this is very tricky. I think firstly she has to get all new lingerie. She has to get all new bathrobes. She has to rethink her entire identity.
Because she has to start being hot
in.
again. Like he's seeing her all the time now.
I know, but it's one thing to see on a date and have an occasional sleepover. It's another thing moving in. She needs a whole remake. But on the other hand, it could be wonderful. You're entitled to a second time around, and the children will have to understand.
But also, they've only been dating for 2 months.
Well, 2 months for a 68-year-old could be like 2 years to somebody in their 20s.
Oh, really? Wait, do you think they've had sex yet?
I'm sure if she's moving in.
Right. I was going to say if they haven't, definitely do not move in.
Well, I don't know how much sex they need at 68. So maybe it's just an occasional fling. So I don't think the sex is 100%. It's more about companionship
at that
and a little
point.
Bit of sex.
Okay, before we finish up the episode, a lot of my grandma's friends were wondering how they can get episode 2 and the next episodes in this season, because we did have to send them out to your contacts manually. So skip ahead of this part if you're millennial or Gen Z and you know how this works. But you guys need to download the Spotify app from the App Store on your iPhone. If you don't know how to download a new app, please ask your family members. I mean, I know you all have Netflix on your TVs and can figure all of this out. You log in or make an account, and then you search Excuse My Grandma, and the podcast should come up, and you just press follow. And please download the episodes if you can, so you can listen wherever you are. So then any new time that an episode is dropped, it'll be uploaded to your phone right away and you'll be able to see it. You don't have to go looking for it.
And it's free. You don't pay anything for it. So thank heavens. If you don't like us, you're not losing any money.
And next week, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts for Valentine's Day.
All right, that sounds cool, since most of us down here in sunny Florida are not doing very much, but we're certainly going to try to have a little bubbly or maybe some chocolates.
Wait, are you going to do anything, or are we doing anything together?
I don't know if I'm doing anything with you. I hope you have a date.
On Valentine's Day?
Why not?
Oh my God, we're going to have to get into this next episode, because if I asked someone to hang out on Valentine's Day, they would think that it was way more serious than it was.
Oh, come on. You just go for an ice cream then, with sprinkles on top.
Heart sprinkles.
Exactly.
Okay, stay tuned, guys. See you next week.